said that I had three main objectives for the Council in education and health: showing leadership, raising expectations and ending intergenerational issues. Mr Mayor, tonight I can recall progress. Progress in leadership. We went out with my lobby unit with the intention of working with our schools and attracting investment to Thurrock. We won 3 free school bids, 2 secondary schools and a special needs school, in addition to the £10 million that we will invest in our own capital over the next 3 years to expand several schools. That is the sum total of almost £70 million to be invested in school places and institutions over the next few years. Progress in raising expectations. We said that it was not acceptable that too many people do not have access to good primary care. Not only now do we have the first ever GP standards plan in place, but we now have staff in place actioning this plan, working with our GPs, driving forward a surgery by surgery plan, showing them how they can move from inadequate to good and save the healthcare system millions. And progress in ending intergenerational issues. We reformed children's centres to save millions by getting rid of expensive buildings and fragmented contracts. And this evening I can confirm that the amount of one-to-one sessions that children will be offered will go from 240 up to 480. That's far more for just a little bit less. Mr Mayor, 1 year on, it's clear to me what the fourth main objective must now become: delivery. When I took office, I was instantly confronted with 2 main issues. The much mooted healthy living hubs did not have planning applications, designs or even capital ready. The Harris Free School in Purfleet was at risk due to the slow regeneration there. Concept and delivery were a world apart. Urgent action was required from both myself and the portfolio holder for regeneration. Well, tonight I can confirm that Cabinet will see a paper next month that will begin the process to construct the first of the 4 integrated medical centres. And in addition, the Department for Education do have confidence in the free school project for Purfleet, and the doors will open September this year, taking students in. Mr Mayor, looking to next year, we will have similar challenges and opportunities. For example, in opportunities, Basildon Hospital, via the CCG, will soon consult on the future of Orsett Hospital. We need to look to modern facilities, more local to care for our constituents. Thurrock Council successfully led the effort that has seen all health partners sign up to a memorandum of understanding on some high-level principles, such as no changes should take place at Orsett until new facilities are built, and clinical services should be maintained within the Borough of Thurrock and improved. A merging of primary and acute care in modern facilities for the 21st century, serving people closer to home. Of course, it's right to also talk about the challenges. Our pupil referral unit was revealed to be inadequate, and we've had to take urgent action to address the situation that I inherited. Seeing more children leaving mainstream education to go to an unfit institution is just plain wrong. As soon as this became clear, we closed the primary PRU immediately. We put in place interim measures, and this afternoon I went to the Department for Education with my senior officers to discuss future plans. These include investing our own capital to help schools set up their own inclusion units to help children avoid having to leave mainstream education. This is a tough situation, but I'm extremely proud of how the Thurrock family of schools has responded. Mr Mayor, we've covered so much ground this year. Key worker housing launched, assisted technology free, our youth service protected, a healthy lives service launched, more children than ever before going to their first choice of school, having the best rated youth offending service in the nation. Mr Mayor, we have got so much done. I could not do this amazing job without the support of some remarkable council officers. Roger Harrison, Ian Wake in health, Rory Patterson, Roger Edmondson and Michelle Lucas in education, and all the junior staff that support them. I couldn't be more grateful to them for every improvement that we make in public services. It may be my grinning face in the newspaper, but they are the people who stand behind it. Finally, Mr Mayor, in adding my gratitude to them, I have to say this job can be extremely fun at times and amusing. For example, one officer, and I won't say which one, When I said last summer, when we were discussing sports in school, that I was very keen on the daily mile to make sure that students take physical activity, one of the officers turned around and said, "You've become very right-wing. What do you mean?" He said, "Well, you demanded I make sure there's a copy of the Daily Mail in every school."
Councillor Howden?
Of course, Mr. Mayor, obviously I wouldn't say which officer that was. Mr. Mayor, I'm grateful for everybody's support. I can remember I put to the chamber and I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Councillor Howden. I will stop to use the discretional rather than till you run out of time.
Don't let it go to your head, Timothy.
But you didn't get the hint. Thank you, Councillor, for your report. Councillor Snell, as the Chair of Health and Wellbeing ONS and Leader of Opposition, do you wish to speak?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Councillor Howden, for your report, which by and large is very positive in bits and pieces. And it's quite a bold report, actually. Hardly the most humorous of portfolio holders, are you? I think I've counted the word "by" 37 times. To give you an idea, in the previous report there was 2, so that was quite entertaining. I know we're going to be talking about issues around health provision in the future later on, so I won't go into that too much now. But there was one thing that did strike me in this particular report, which I'm sort of couldn't quite work out what it is quite to say here. On page 82, you make what appears to be a rather extraordinary statement that the 2 departments, which is health and education, are contributing to the wider council priorities such as clean it, cut it and fill it, by not only coming in on budget, but by making significant savings. Are you really trying to say that you're cutting money from health and education in order to cut the grass? Is that what you're saying there? And also, in addition to that, there is much mention made in your report, written, about the proposed grammar school, but can you now confirm that due to the rather weak Queen's speech that that is no longer an option? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I would ask Councillor Snell not to use Her Majesty's name and the word weak in the same sentence. In regards to clean it, cut it, fill it, what we're cutting is expensive buildings maintained by the last administration, fragmented contracts put in place by the last administration. That is what is generating a huge amount of savings that is going into magnificent schemes like clean it, cut it, fill it. In regards to grammar schools, I am not a member who backs down. Let's be clear, in this general election, 13 million people voted for a pro-grammar school party. This borough elected 2 members of parliament who stood on a grammar school ticket. We lose over 100 children every single year to a grammar school. There is clear demand and appetite for grammar school education. We've done so much work already. Land identified, a partner identified, and admissions criteria slanted towards the disadvantaged. Now, the parliamentary arithmetic makes a full repeal of the Labour Party's ban on selective education difficult. I've written to the Secretary of State for Education and suggested Thurrock as a pilot area for a slight moratorium on the selective ban. And if we fail in that, then we will revert back to the original plan, which was trying to annex a grammar school from another local authority into Thurrock, which is perfectly permissible under the current law. We will not back down. Thurrock will have a grammar school.
Thank you. Please make your comments and questions short, as we now have 6 minutes. I'll now invite Councillor Okanade as Chair of Children's ONS Committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Allen, for your report. In your report, you have stated that you have reformed services such as children's centres to save significant sums of money while serving more children. Are you able to tell us if any equality impact assessments were carried out prior to your decision to close some of these children's centres? And if so, could you mention some of your findings and how you plan to mitigate the effect on those service users that depend on attending their local children's centres?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I take a sharp intake of breath that the member who was paid well over £6,000 last year to scrutinise my department is asking me if I undertook a quality impact assessment. Surely that should have been something you asked me last year. when you were being paid to do the job.
Can you just answer my question, please? I'm asking now, so answer my question.
Are you asking now or after,
Yes.
after the money transfer? Okay. Many studies were carried out, full consultation with the public, and we arrived at the same conclusion, that we would get rid of expensive buildings like the tiny room we rented in a private children's centre in East Tilbury, and we would direct the money at the front line. Fewer buildings, better services. You've lost that argument already.
There you go. Councillor Gerrish, would you want to ask a question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I will. Does the portfolio holder support the idea of amalgamating A&Es across South Essex? And if not, what's he proposing to do to help fight those proposals?
Councillor Harden?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, Councillor Gerrish refers to the STPs. The proposal is not to amalgamate A&Es. There's a proposal to look at how we can establish centres of excellence in regards to the different hospital configurations. Balsham's already a centre of excellence for cardiac care, so on and so forth, and that already is in place. We had the annual health report where you heard very specifically the sheer tonnage of unnecessary A&E admissions. The amount of people who go to A&E who should be going to an appropriate primary care outlet. That is what we need to be doing. With the GP standards plan, improving local care, with the plan to build the integrated medical hubs, we'll provide people with better care so we don't have a continued overburdened A&E service. And I would remind the current leader of the Labour group that the plans for healthy integrated living hubs were just plans. There was no planning application, there was no capital, there was nothing. When we took over, we had to start from scratch. July Cabinet will see the first actual attempt for myself and Councillor Cockshaw to actually start to build these new facilities to take the burden off A&E. I will not take criticism from the political equivalent of a sloth. Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I do apologise to both Councillor Gerrish and indeed sloths.
That's worse.
Councillor Harden?
That's a yellow card, that is, for me.
Referee's decision. We've got, unfortunately because of the time we're taking, we've got only time for one more question. Councillor Sheridan, would you please ask your question?
Thank you, Councillor Holden, for your report. We can hear the passion and the pride in your voice of what you want to achieve of building new schools and providing school places which are much needed. However, many parents like myself are receiving worrying emails from head teachers depicting cuts within the next 2 years because of the new funding formula being introduced. The emails are informing parents that the £4 billion overall Tory budget in schools by 21-22 actually means a 6.9% cut in pupil spending. Could you put teachers and parents' minds at rest that you will put just as much effort into stopping cuts in our Thurrock schools, ensuring teachers they will not have to keep reaching into their own pockets to pay for the school equipment, which is already happening?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, let's be very clear what the proposed national funding formula will do to Thurrock. The net effect would be a net increase of 1.5 million. Now, what happens with the national funding formula, and this is an important point, that at the moment, schools funded on a block-based formula, it basically means that schools like Tower Hamlets are dramatically overfunded compared to schools like Thurrock and other home county schools. So there is a calculated rebalancing being done. In Thurrock, that means an extra 1.5 million, and more importantly, the secondary schools go sharply up, and the primary schools go up either modestly or take a slight dip. However, if you look at the entire picture, the multi-academy trust, every multi-academy trust, bar one in Thurrock, is in a net far better position. Take some of the gateway schools that serve your community. The secondary schools take such a large increase, it mitigates the other impact. It is a net increase in the borough of Thurrock. The cuts that they are referring to are issues with on-costs and pensions, and that is an entirely different issue and must be treated separately. Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to waive my time to sum it up if you want to take more questions.
Councillor Holden, you've already used your time.
I hope everyone else enjoyed it as much as I did.